How did an area used for the manufacture of hazardous chemical weapons turn into a home for more than 330 species of wildlife and a valuable place to visit? Let's take a look. Welcome to EMSmastery, where we look at the successful strategies and tactics to master environmental management and sustainability. Just outside Denver and Commerce City in Colorado, the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge is a 15,988 acre site. In terms of National Wildlife Refuge, it makes it the largest urban refuge in the United States. It has a mixed history of being a military arsenal manufacturing hazardous chemical weapons and fuel for the Apollo space missions, and now is a National Wildlife Refuge home to more than 330 species of wildlife and a place open to the public to visit. The Visitor Centre provides a great opportunity to orientate and prepare for your visit, especially signposting the key features of the Wildlife Refuge and the hiking and driving trails in a handy booklet. Inside, there is a small exhibition area giving insight into the wildlife homed in the refuge, including bald eagles, bison, black-footed ferrets, deer, coyotes and prairie dogs, with interactive exhibitions for children and adults alike. The exhibition also covers the history of the use of the area for the production of hazardous chemical weapons from the 1940s to 1980s, with clear displays illustrating the contaminated soil present on the site and the protection needed for the hazards presented by the chemicals used. For those interested in legislation, the site was listed on the National Priorities List, a list of hazardous waste sites in the United States eligible for long-term remedial cleanup action financed under the Federal Superfund program in accordance with the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation and Liability Act of 1980 and managed by the Environmental Protection Agency. Later, US Congress enacted the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge Act on the 25th of September 1992, with the legislation signed into law by President George H.W. Bush on the 9th of October of the same year. The law stipulated that a majority of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal site would become a National Wildlife Refuge under the jurisdiction of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service once the environmental restoration had been completed, which continues to have oversight over the refuge to the current day. If you're getting value out of this episode, please click on the like button. If you want to see more environmental and sustainability videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. A handy booklet is available from the Visitor Centre mentioned earlier and comes with a clear location map outlining the 20 miles of trails that are open for motor vehicles, bikes and hiking. To get the most from my visit, I chose the 11-mile self-guided wildlife drive using my rental car, which takes approximately 1 hour. And I used the accompanying podcast, which is freely available from Apple Podcasts, Spotify and other podcast providers, to help give me commentary to explain what I was seeing in each mile of the 11-mile trail. My visit was in mid-January, and so there were a few inches of snow on the trail road, but nothing that a regular car couldn't drive on, so no need for a special SUV or four-wheel drive. Depending on the climate and seasonal demands, the wildlife may be more or less visible from the trail road. The -10 degrees Celsius temperatures meant that many of the birds and animals were making the most of the shelter and trying to keep warm. Early on in my trail drive, I came across a herd of deer that were readily visible from the road and could easily be photographed or videoed. At various points in my trail tour, I could see evidence of the past use of the refuge as a chemical weapons site, with this observation building and other partial buildings and clean-up mounds and ponds clearly visible. Other parts of the trail drive were open spaces with no clear opportunity to see wildlife, but nonetheless a great time to enjoy a slow drive overlooking the open refuge area, with few vehicles in the front or behind me. It was a great time to truly take in the splendour of the open prairie land. Two animals that I wanted to look for were the prairie dogs, which, as I learned at the visitor centre, are actually burrowing ground squirrels, and the American bison, not to be confused with their distant European and African relatives, the buffalo. On the final stretch of the trail road, I first came across the prairie dogs popping up from their warm below-ground burrows to see what was happening, with an opportunity to take some videos of these fascinating animals that are the true natives of the American prairie. The Wildlife Refuge is capable of supporting thousands, if not tens of thousands, of prairie dogs in its nearly 16 acres of land. As I come from a country that does not have prairie dogs, or even prairies, it was fascinating to observe them and their reaction to me observing them, and the vehicles stopping to observe them or passing them by. A little further on from the prairie dogs, I came across a herd of bison. The visitor centre had warned me that I should keep a suitable distance from the herd. This was not a problem during my visit, as they were quite clearly a distance away from the road, but in other situations or the warmer months in the summer, the herd may venture closer to the road, so care is advised by any road user. Again, it was a clear privilege to have an opportunity to view the bison in their natural habitat, not only as they are not native to the United Kingdom, but as they were hunted close to extinction during the 19th and 20th centuries before rebounding due to active conservation measures. After over 20 minutes observing these magnificent animals, it was time to move on and return to the visitor centre for some much needed souvenirs of books and other memorabilia of the Wildlife Refuge and its inhabitants. I left with a sense of the majesty of the prairie plains and its inhabitants, especially the bison that roamed in North America before the settlers moved westward, and took advantage of them for food and clothing. For me, the fact that the site had been previously contaminated by man with hazardous chemicals from the manufacture of munitions and other chemicals gave a further sense of hope that mankind can turn back the damage that has been done to our natural environment and redeem our negative environmental impacts to leave the world a better place. Not perfect, but getting there. Further information on the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Reserve and all the highlighted resources are given in the description box below, including a link to the resources on the EMSmastery.com website. If this episode has helped to advance your understanding of the history of the National Wildlife Refuge, its clean-up and its inhabitants, please leave a comment in the box below if the video has helped you. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel to ensure that you don't miss out on other episodes on environmental management and sustainability. Until then, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, you can watch other episodes by clicking on the boxes in the top and bottom right, and to subscribe to this channel, click on the link to the left. Thank you.